Hey guys, welcome back to Craft-e-Corner's YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make some Christmas themed coasters using Cricut's Infusible Ink. To get started, I'm going to cut the transfer sheets to size. I love using the portable trimmer from Cricut for this. Alright, so now we're going to apply the transfer sheet onto a standard grip mat. So since Infusible Ink is a fancy science and whatnot, I try to avoid touching the actual ink as much as possible. I feel like when the oils of your fingers get on the ink, you can have less successful transfers. So I will just put it on the mat, line it all up, and then I'm actually going to grab an extra large scraper tool and let that push it down. So when you're choosing your cutting setting on your Cricut Explore Air 2, obviously you have to turn the dial to choose what setting you want. Infusible Ink is not one of the options here, so we're actually just going to slide it to the left and click on Custom and then find Infusible Ink in Design Space. And lastly, do not forget to mirror your images in Design Space. Alright, so now that they're done cutting, I'm going to remove them from the mat. And I just wanted to show you how I like to remove materials from the mat. I actually flip it over and then bend the mat back and let the mat do the bending while I hold the material straight. Just like that. Alright, so now I'm just going to trim away the excess transfer sheet so I can save it for another project. So now we're going to weed. If you have never worked with Infusible Ink before, it actually kind of feels like a really thick paper. And Cricut actually doesn't recommend using a weeder tool to weed. So really what you can just do is actually peel the paper away from the backing to weed it. And as you bend, it'll pop up just like this. So as you can see, most of it came. There is a little bit of paper down here and over here that stayed behind. And I actually like to use a weeder. Just be careful that you don't puncture through this clear sheet. I don't actually know what would happen if you left these pieces of paper on. I'm guessing nothing because there's no color on them. But I just like to get rid of them to be safe. So now for this one, I'm actually going to weed out the letters ho ho ho. And so just like before, I'm going to kind of roll the transfer sheet back and pull the letters off. So it's pretty simple. I think it gets pretty tricky when you have really intricate designs. So I personally like to keep it pretty simple with Infusible Ink. That's just a personal preference though. You can give it a shot. And if it pops off the sheet like that, right here, it's okay, it'll just stick back down. This transfer, whatever this piece is called, is actually pretty sticky, which is pretty nice. So we'll just finish weeding this one. And then we'll weed the next three. Alright, so here's what the transfer sheets look like weeded. This one was definitely the hardest one, and that's why I mentioned maybe not doing such intricate designs because it can be a little tricky to weed, especially when you want these little letters to stay on the sheet. And here's the snowflake. So remember, we mirrored the image in Design Space, so it cut on the ink, but when we apply the transfer sheet to the coaster, we'll actually put it face down so that it will be correct. Alright, so now that the Easy Press has heated up, we are going to get to transferring. So to do this, you'll need a few more materials. You'll need an Easy Press mat to go with your Easy Press. You'll need some cardstock paper. You'll need the butcher paper that came with the transfer sheets. and a lint-free cloth. You want to make sure that you remove any dust or debris that may be on the coaster. I can see a little bit of dust on it, so I'm just going to wipe it down. Then we'll apply the transfer to the coaster. Just line it up wherever you want. And then I like to use my extra large scraper tool to help push it down, but you can just use your fingers as well. So we have our mat down, then we have our cardstock, and the reason for the cardstock is in case any ink transfers off or bleeds, it would bleed onto the cardstock and not on your mat and ruin it. Another helpful tip here, if you need extra support in keeping the transfer sheet down on your coaster or t-shirt, whatever you're transferring to, you can use heat-resistant tape from Cricut. They sell it, so you could just apply some tape for extra support. But these clear sheets are pretty sticky, so you should be okay. We've got the mat, the cardstock, this is ready to go. And actually with the ceramic coasters, they get transferred upside down like this. So you'll flip your coaster, put it face down, and then you'll apply the butcher paper. And then we're going to apply the Easy Press. And it's super important when you're applying the Easy Press to make sure that you don't move it. So I've got it set down, and I'm gonna hit go. All right, so the Easy Press is all finished now, and now we just have to wait for it to cool before we can peel off the transfer sheet. So while this one's cooling, I'm going to transfer the rest of them, and I'm actually going to put them all on my mat at the same time and apply the Easy Press in one big swoop. So if your Easy Press is large enough to accommodate multiple coasters, then you can definitely transfer them all at the same time. You don't have to do them one by one. All right, so now that these have cooled, I'm just gonna remove the liners and we'll see what it looks like. I'm very impressed with how vibrant the red is. So that one looks awesome. Do our trees. All right, there you have it. There's our 4 Christmas coasters using Cricut's Infusible Ink. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe for more Cricut videos. Thanks for watching.